audiobook. As you listen to the Rainbow Brite story, you can read along with the words at the bottom of the screen. Get ready now for Rainbow Brite and the Risky Rescue. It was early when Rainbow Brite woke up. She stretched and yawned and jumped out of bed. Then she went to the window of her room in the Color Castle to watch the sunrise over Rainbow Land. Rainbow Brite looked this way and that. She looked down at her very best friend and magical horse Starlight munching the honey-sweet clover outside the castle. She looked across to the prism pond. She looked out at the sprites' little houses and gardens. Then she looked up at the pits, that gray and gloomy hill where the evil Murky Dismal lived. Something was troubling Rainbow Brite, and she didn't quite know what it was. But she would soon find out. She called to Starlight.
We have work to do today, Starlight. I have a feeling that something is wrong in Rainbow Land. Let's pick up Twink and check things out.
So Rainbow Brite and her favorite sprite, Twink, climbed on Starlight and set off through Rainbow Land. They hadn't gone very far when Rainbow Brite's suspicions proved to be true. There was something wrong. In fact, there was more than one thing wrong. The blue lagoon was green. And the Red River was orange.
This is terrible,
cried Rainbow Brite.
What can we do?
Asked Starlight. It took Rainbow Brite only a moment to decide.
We'd better get back to the castle. Maybe the color kids can help get to the bottom of this.
Rainbow Brite called the color kids together and explained what she had seen. But the color kids were just as puzzled as Rainbow was.
I didn't let the blue lagoon go green,
said Buddy Blue.
I didn't let the Red River go orange,
said Red Butler.
Then who did?
Asked Rainbow Brite, looking around at the other color kids.
I didn't have anything to do with it,
said Patio Green.
Neither did I,
said Lala Orange. Just then, Shy Violet's eyes lit up behind her big round glasses.
Wait, everyone,
she said. Rainbow and the color kids all turned to listen to Shy Violet because she was always right. Shy Violet explained,
just think for a minute. What color mixes with blue to make green? And what color mixes with red to make orange?
Yellow!
Cried all the color kids.
Exactly,
said Shy Violet.
Now look around. Where's Canary Yellow?
Canary Yellow was missing.
Oh, no,
cried Rainbow Brite.
I'll bet Murky Dismal has caught her again. We'll have to check out the pits.
Everyone agreed with Rainbow Brite. They knew this was very risky business because Murky Dismal was always plotting and planning ways to trick Rainbow Brite and her friends. Rainbow quickly organized all the color kids and sprites.
The only way to rescue Canary Yellow is to sneak up on the pits and take Murky Dismal by surprise.
Rainbow Brite led the color kids and sprites as they quietly crawled through the gloom on the hill. As they got closer to the pits, they could hear Murky Dismal mumbling and grumbling, grumbling and mumbling. The closer they got, the better they could hear him, and the worse he sounded.
You will do as I say,
shouted Murky Dismal.
Yeah, do as he said,
repeated Lurky.
I will not! I will not!
cried Canary Yellow.
This is more serious than I thought,
said Rainbow Brite as she crawled along.
We'll have to do something drastic and do it quickly if we want to beat Murky Dismal and rescue Canary Yellow.
Just then, Rainbow got an idea. She turned to the sprites and whispered,
I'm going to need a super supply of star sprinkles. Can you get them quickly and bring them here?
The sprites nodded. Then each went scooting off to the section of Rainbow Land where his special sprinkles were stored. While While the sprites were gone, Rainbow explained her plans to the color kids. Several twinklings later, the sprites returned, carrying huge sacks of star sprinkles. Rainbow turned to the color kids and whispered,
Spread out around the pits. Then at the count of 3, go to it. 1, 2, 3.
At Rainbow's signal, Buddy Blue blasted a bolt of the brightest blue star sprinkles right into Murky Dismal's dark and dreary cave. Red Butler released a ray of the rosiest red into the gloom. Lala Orange zapped in some of her zestiest orange. Patio Green pitched in the liveliest green. Indigo threw in her deep reddish blue. And Shy Violet flipped in a volley of violet hue. Soon, crazy rainbows of happy colors were bouncing back and forth off the walls of the pits like fireworks on the 4th of July, like shooting stars all over the heavens.
Stop! Stop!
Came a cry from deep inside the cave, and moments later, 2 figures came running out. It was Murky Dismal and Lurky. They were staggering out, holding their hands over their eyes.
No more!
Cried Murky.
I can't stand the bright lights. I'll do anything you say, if only you'll stop those happy colors.
Yeah,
Cried Lurky.
we'll do anything.
Anything?
Asked Rainbow Bright. Murky Dismal nodded.
Yes, anything.
Then let Canary Yellow go.
Murky turned and disappeared into the pits. Moments later, he returned with Canary Yellow. Pointing to Rainbow Bright, Murky snarled.
You put one over on me this time, Rainbow Brat. But I'll get even. I'll get even with all of you. Just you wait and see.
Yeah, just wait and see.
Snarled Lurky. Nobody paid any attention to Murky Dismal. They were all too busy fussing over Canary Yellow. Canary's usual smiling eyes were filled with tears as she sobbed,
Murky Dismal made me do it. He made me mix yellow and turn the blue lagoon green. He made me mix yellow and turn the Red River orange. He said if I didn't do it, he would turn all of Rainbow Land dark.
Rainbow Bright put her arm around Canary's shoulder and gently said,
There, don't cry. We'll make everything turn out right.
The color kids and sprites carried Canary Yellow on their shoulders back to the color castle for a welcome home party. Rainbow Bright went off with Twink and Starlight to see what they could do to get things back to normal. Even though she would have liked to join in the celebration, Rainbow still felt that her work should come first. Riding on Starlight, Rainbow Bright and Twink headed for the Blue Lagoon. There she sifted just the right amount of star sprinkles through her fingers and turned the Green Lagoon back to blue again. Then they rode to Red River. Again, Rainbow Bright sifted just the right amount of star sprinkles through her fingers and turned the Orange River back to red again.
What a day it has been.
Rainbow said to Starlight and Twink when she was finished.
But all's well that ends well.
Now it's time for your next Rainbow Bright story. Just like before, you can read along with the words at the bottom of the screen. Okay, now here we go with Rainbow Bright and the Sprite Emergency. All was peaceful in Rainbow Land. Never before was the sky so blue. Nowhere was there even the slightest hint of a gray gloom cloud. Never before was the sun so shiny and bright. Never before was the grass so green, or the roses so red, or the daffodils so yellow, or the chrysanthemums so orange, or the violets so violet. Rainbow Brite was relaxed. The color kids were content. Starlight was satisfied to snooze in the sun. And Twink would have been tickled pink if he weren't so white. Yes, all was peaceful in Rainbow Land. Maybe a little too peaceful. Maybe the calm before the storm. But it wasn't at all peaceful in the pits. Murky Dismal was busy plotting and scheming.
My plan is working. It's working.
He cried to his bumbling assistant, Lurky.
We finally managed to get that Rainbow Brat and their friends off guard. We've got them relaxed. They don't suspect a thing. Now's the time to put the rest of my plan into action.
Chuckled Lurky.
I can't believe how sneaky you are, boss.
I'm not sneaky.
Sneered Murky Dismal.
I'm just downright mean.
Murky Dismal was right. Back in Rainbow Land, no one suspected a thing. The sprites were even more cheerful and playful than usual. Because everything was so peaceful and they were finished with their work at the mines and in the prism ponds, the sprites could spend their time frolicking in the sun. Saucy and Romeo were dancing through the clover. Spark and Lucky were playing tag. Champ was working out with his weights. And Hammy was reciting a poem for IQ, who wanted only to read his book as he strolled along the riverbank. Yes, the sprites were all at peace. No one saw two figures moving quickly and quietly around Rainbow Land. Little by little, step by step, Murky Dismal and Lurky were putting Murky's evil plan into action. They crept and stopped, crept and stopped. Every place they stopped, they set a sprite trap. The traps were so sneaky that they couldn't be seen. The green sprite trap looked like grass. The red sprite trap looked like a tomato. The yellow sprite trap looked like corn. The blue sprite trap looked like bluebells. The orange sprite trap looked like marigolds. And the violet sprite trap looked like violets. The poor sprites never had a chance as they danced and played. Before they knew it, every last one of them was tangled in the traps. Murky Dismal and Lurky tied the captured sprites together and piled them into the grunge buggy. Before the sprites knew what was happening, they were being driven away from Rainbow Land toward the pits. Inside his laboratory in the dark and dreary cave, Murky Dismal herded the sprites onto a big wooden platform.
I've got you now.
He snarled at the sprites as he pushed a big black button.
Yeah, we've got you now.
Added Lurky. An engine started up, and the platform moved up and out. The sprites stood in the center of the platform, huddled together in fear. When the engine stopped, Saucy mustered up enough courage to move to the edge of the platform and look over the edge.
Why, we're right over the pits.
He cried to the other sprites.
The pits? This is terrible.
Cried Lucky.
At last!
Sneered Murky Dismal.
At last I've got you where I want you. You're not so cheerful now, my little sprites. Why, without you to work in the mines and the prism ponds, that Rainbow Brat won't have a steady supply of color crystals. And without enough color crystals to go around, your whole color crowd is going to be out of business.
Up on the platform, the poor frightened sprites shivered and shook. They knew that if they fell into the pits, they would lose their colors and disappear. IQ tried to reassure his friends.
We mustn't panic. We must stay calm and think of something. Yes, got to think of something,
said Saucy. The sprites huddled even closer together than before. None of them wanted to get too close to the edge of the platform. Suddenly, IQ had an idea.
Let's close our eyes and use our special color concentration to send an emergency signal to Rainbow Brite.
The sprites agreed. In moments, that invisible signal flew through the air toward the color castle. Rainbow Brite was gazing out her window at the color castle when she picked up the sprite's emergency signal. She immediately called to Starlight and Twink.
Go get all the color kids. Tell them to drop everything and hurry to the castle. We have a sprite emergency.
Moments later, the color kids appeared at the castle. Rainbow Brite explained the emergency signal she had received. After much talking and arguing among the color kids, Red Butler stepped forward and announced,
I know what we have to do. Why, once I received a...
Not now,
interrupted Rainbow Brite.
We'll hear your story later. Just tell us how we can rescue the sprites.
Red went on.
We'll weave a rainbow net under Murky Dismal's platform and catch the sprites before they fall into the pits.
Not wanting to be left out of the exciting rescue, Twink offered,
Starlight and I will hang the net in place under the platform. Murky Dismal and Lurky would never expect us to come to the pits.
Good idea,
said Rainbow.
We all have a job to do, so let's get moving.
As soon as the rainbow net was ready, the color kids carried it up toward the pits. Twink and Starlight sneaked into the cave and put it in place under the platform. The sprites were delighted to see their friends, and at a signal from Rainbow Brite, they began to sing and dance. The happy sounds brought Murky Dismal out from his laboratory.
Why are you singing and dancing?
He asked the sprites.
Because we're happy to be on this
They
platform.
replied,
Well, I don't want you to be happy.
grumbled Murky Dismal.
This should stop your singing and dancing right now.
And he pulled the rope that tipped the platform into the pits. The sprites tumbled this way and that as they fell off the platform, only to land softly in the net. When they were all safely in the net, Starlight and Twink swiftly whisked them away. How happy they were to leave Murky Dismal and Lurky in the pits far behind. Once again, all was peaceful in Rainbow Land. The sprites were as cheerful and playful as ever. But instead of frolicking in the sunshine, they were ready to get back to work in the mines and prism ponds. They wanted to make certain that there would always be enough color crystals to go around.